I have an amazing guest for you guys. Pramila Jayapal, Congresswoman from Washington's 7th District, is in the studio. She's in Rebel headquarters. So great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
All right, so now you've got 1,000 amazing things that you've done, and I don't say that lightly. And the Congresswoman is also one of the 3 Just Democrats already in Congress, which is great. And you're going and helping other progressives throughout the country. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was so excited about what you founded, which is the Medicare For All PAC.
Yes.
Okay. Now there's 2 different things. There's the caucus, which you're the co-chair of in Congress, and then there's the PAC.
Right.
Let's talk about the PAC first. What's the point of the PAC?
Well, the PAC actually came second, but we'll talk about it first. It is really to say that we have a movement across the country of people who want Medicare for All in all these different states. And we have candidates now who are running boldly on a Medicare for All platform. And we thought, why not form a PAC to really support those candidates who are ready to take this on, who are running on this message, who are excited about being the conveyors of this excellent policy. And so we just started it, grassroots, all small donations. And the very first email we sent out did really, really well. So we're slowly building that list. It's passmedicareforall.org for anybody who wants to go there. And the idea is that we will build the power of progressives who are running on a Medicare for All platform, help support them, help do research in some cases in their districts, really do whatever we can to support their candidacy.
And we'll put that link down below if you're watching this later on YouTube or Facebook. And so conservatives are worried about this PAC, and people like Susan Collins say, well, you can't raise on a single issue, that's not fair. When she takes $21 million from corporations, that's apparently fair. Okay, but so how do you answer those charges?
Well, you know what I think is funny? The president wrote this article, right, on USA Today saying it was all about Medicare for All and how much money it's gonna cost. And I thought, doesn't he have anything better to do with his time? He must be doing this because he's afraid. He knows this is a good policy. And frankly, the whole issue about cost, we have to look at what our current healthcare system is costing us. And over the next 10 years, it will cost us $32 billion more within the next 10 years than what passing Medicare for All would cost. Ultimately, this is the system that every industrialized country in the world depends on, and we in the United States need to pass a Medicare for All type system. So we're in the process of doing that.
No, they're definitely nervous. They're nervous about the proposal. Otherwise, as you say, it's the only op-ed he wrote.
I know.
That's kind of amazing,
I know.
right?
I thought that was pretty funny, actually.
And the second thing is that they're nervous that the PAC might work. Because raising money for a cause that people believe in, they're like, wait, we're the ones allowed to raise money from corporate interests. You guys are not allowed to raise money from real people. Wrong that you are. So let's talk about the caucus. That was first. You're the co-chair of it. How many people in the Medicare for All caucus now?
78 now. We had, I think, 77 founding and then 1 added on. But the reason for starting that was really to say, look, we need to do some work within the Democratic caucus to get everybody the information they want, to get the research out there, to really do the work internally to help bring people around to how a policy like this may work and get them the information that they need so that they can be comfortable. We're getting ready, we're drafting a bill that should, we're working off of Bernie's Medicare for All bill from the Senate, but we're gonna make a few changes to that as well and just sort of take into account some feedback that's out there. And our goal is to reintroduce it as 676 right at the beginning of the next session, and then work to get some hearings on it, assuming we take back the House, and really continue to push it and make sure that, I really believe this is gonna be one of the defining issues of the 2020 presidential campaign.
Yeah, Congresswoman, that leads us to an uncomfortable question, okay? Because you've got 78 people who are in favor of it, but obviously a lot of Democrats did not sign on. And you all might have the majority in about 3 weeks. And so if you do, will Nancy Pelosi and the other Democrats even allow a vote on it?
Well, I think, I've talked to Jim McGovern, who would be chair of rules, and I think that we will be able to move the policy along. Do I think that we will be able to pass it? I don't know. It depends on what kind of a majority we have. It depends on how big we win. It depends on what happens in the Senate. I think Democrats will be nervous to take a vote on it if they know it's never going to pass the Senate. So I think all of that we just have to look and see. But I feel pretty confident that if we take back the House, that we will be able to do some significant work on moving it forward. I really do.
Congresswoman, make them vote. Make them vote. If they don't vote, then it doesn't mean anything. Okay, so.
Well, again, I think it's all about that's why we're setting up this whole infrastructure. That's why we're trying to make sure that we get the information to people that they need. To be fair, the people that didn't sign on, we didn't necessarily ask everybody. We wanted to have, originally actually we wanted to have 25 original founding members of the caucus. And we got that like that. So then we said, okay, let's move it up to 50. Okay, let's move it up to 75. So I think we can do a little bit more work and we can get hopefully at least the 117 that were on 676. But then the goal really is with this new class coming in, do we have enough people? I mean, just imagine that there are something like, I think it's 20% of the red to blue candidates who are supporting Medicare for All. We have veterans who are not necessarily with us on some other policies, but they've always had government provided healthcare. For them, it's a no-brainer. So I'm really hopeful that we can get enough to move it through a committee, and let's get it to the floor. Let's have a debate on it. Let's vote on it, and let's see where we go.
One way to find out if they're on board, I mean, you haven't asked. One way to ask is to vote on it, and then we'll find out.
Yeah, well,
and not just Republicans, but Democrats. So. They should not be afraid of their positions, whatever their positions are.
Well, and listeners who are out there, I think this is an important thing to take to your member of Congress and say, we want you to join the caucus. We want you to, help push this forward. I mean, I think this is something that all of us are going to have to do. It's going to take everybody. It's a big move. It's a big, ambitious program, and that's what I think we should be, big and ambitious.
So, speaking of caucuses, you're in the Progressive Caucus, but the Progressive Caucus is a little broad, let's say. Okay, there are some people who brag about how they're also in moderate caucuses and pro-business caucuses. Nothing wrong with being pro-business unless you're taking a lot of corporate money and then you're pro-business for other reasons. So, is there a possibility of a Justice Democrat caucus or a caucus of people who are willing to draw the line a little bit clearer?
Well, we sort of have that I know this has been a discussion that's been going on. I don't think it's out of the question, but we have a group of probably 35 to 40 right now, hopefully that gets bigger, of people that pretty much vote the same way on most, if not all, issues. And in fact, out of the bills that we whip, I would say 90% of folks vote the right way, but we're not putting the bills forward that we always want to. That's part of the reason for that. So to me, it's more about how you leverage the power of the Progressive Caucus. How do you get more people to vote the way that you think a vote should be going? How do you get them the information that they need? And then how do you hold them accountable if they do or they don't? And so we are in the process of also setting up a 501c3 and C4 called the Congressional Progressive Caucus Center. We've just raised $1.5 million in seed money for that. And the whole goal is to kind of recreate what was called the Democratic Study Group a long time ago. Newt Gingrich shut it down. We are trying to recreate that, put a lot more effort into coordinating inside and outside strategy and pushing the ideas that we want. And I think ultimately, the goal is to try to get all of our members of the caucus to really consider themselves a voting group of the caucus.
There's no reason why they shouldn't be a very powerful voting bloc, especially if it's the majority. And so all my life, and I've been covering politics for over 20 years. All I ever hear is, well, the Republican Study Group, the Freedom Caucus, the Tea Party, you have to do what they say because they have a voting bloc and they won't let things pass without their voting bloc.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys are real progressives and now you're going to have real power.
Right.
So there's no reason why they should not take you into account just as well.
Yeah, and I think they will. I mean, we're also pushing our own people for leadership. You know, we're looking at different positions. But I think that one thing Republicans did very well is they built an infrastructure. I mean, when the study group was disbanded, they essentially set up their own version of that. They have entire networks that are the resource for pushing inside-outside strategy, for coordinating, for leveraging the power, doing all of that. And I feel like we are finally getting to the place where we're putting in place some of these ideas, electing progressives. You know, the Progressive Caucus PAC tripled this year, and so we were able to fund a whole bunch more progressives, and we were able to really help these candidates. And I think that the story we want to be telling on the day after the election, if we take back the House, is it was progressives who helped us get there.
And can people donate to that PAC as well?
Yes, and we'll get you the link because I don't know it off the top of my head.
That's right, sometimes they're really long. We'll have that in the description box below as well. Now, you know, you mentioned you have about 40 people who vote as a block, roughly as progressives. That might soon be 50. And so we know for sure that you're gonna have Ayanna Pressley, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib. So that is
Deb Haaland. I mean, we have actually a fair number of folks that are coming in that I think will be really strong. The other thing we're doing this year is we're having an orientation for our new members before they go in, so they know what to expect, so that if there are positions that they're running for leadership, you know, within even the new members, you usually get to elect a couple of members. Nobody ever told me that when we came in, so we had no idea. And there was somebody who was sort of anointed and appointed and put forward, and then everybody voted for them, not really understanding. So there's a lot of things that I learned just being a new member that we're trying to institute for this year that I think will really help consolidate our progressive caucus members and have them focus on the caucus, our recommendations. We're also adding staff inside, by the way. So we will have more people to whip votes because people just listen to K-Street lobbyists. There's like 100 issues on the table in front of us. And if they don't know, they often will just go to whichever lobbyist is closest. We want them to come to our progressive resources so that we tell them, okay, this is why you don't want to vote for this, you know, finance bill or this tax bill or whatever it is. We don't want you to listen to the corporations. We want you to listen to this set of research.
I'm pretty sure the new Just Democrats coming in are not going to be going to the K-Street lobbyists to find out which way to vote.
No, but there's only a couple of those, right? I mean,
that's right.
We can't start with 3 people is not going to necessarily,
or
8 people is not going to do it, right? We have to build a bigger block of folks. And there are some people who are clear already before they come in, but there's a lot of people who come in and, you know, I think they will be with us, but we need to get them what they need so that they are.
100% right. And for those of you who don't know, when someone wins, leadership comes in. Well, this is me, not Congresswoman Jayapal saying this, but they say, okay, here's what you got to do. You got to spend half your time raising money. Here's which committee do you want to be on to raise more money? It's all about money, 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 et cetera. And they're given certain guidance. And to me, most of that guidance is horrific. So the fact that there are real progressives in Congress like you, that can give them an orientation about, wait, no, how do we get policy done?
Right.
How do we stick together, fight together?
Right.
That's amazing.
Exactly, and on the money, there are a bunch of candidates who didn't take corporate PAC money. We want to keep them not taking corporate PAC money, so we're talking about that as well. We're working really closely with End Citizens United to make sure that people have what they need to stay in that place of not taking corporate PAC money, because 60% of the red to blue candidates now don't take corporate PAC money. And we're trying to get more and more. I'm doing a lot of work. You probably saw that Intercept article, but I'm doing a lot of work to try to help my colleagues get comfortable with, nope, you don't need to take PAC money. And in fact, anybody can do it. You don't have to be a Bernie Sanders or whoever, some big name. You can do it, and it actually is helpful for people to see your integrity and authenticity and not taking it.
In fact, now it's not just Bernie Sanders. Now Beto O'Rourke, having raised more money,
$38 million in the last quarter alone, kind of incredible. Yeah,
having raised more money in a Senate campaign than anyone in history, with no corporate PAC money. Yeah. So not only is it doable, it might be more productive. And remember, Beto now has a big name because he's against Ted Cruz and we're almost at the election. But when he started, he had very little name recognition. Right. Very little. Right. So it's totally doable.
Right, he's an inspiring candidate. But I also tell people it isn't, because sometimes people are like, well, what are you saying? That I'm voting that way just because I'm getting corporate PAC money? And some people do and some people don't. It doesn't really matter. The point is that we need to be clear with our voters that we represent voters, that we represent working people, that we're not representing corporate special interests. And that trust has been so broken that people really want to see you take all the steps necessary to start to rebuild that trust.
Well, at the very least, there is clearly an appearance of corruption. Okay,
yeah.
And so you should try to avoid the appearance of corruption
exactly.
if you're the party that is supposed to be progressive. I would be, of course, a lot harsher than you are. I think, yes, they do what their donors tell them to do, okay? And in a sense, so do you guys. It's just that your donors are actual citizens.
We just respond to actual people,
right.
Regular working people who just want to have a better life. How about that?
That's right. So one more thing, which is what you're going to do to get more people in.
Yeah.
So you're going around the country trying to get other progressives in right now?
I have been, and it's been really fun. I was in Ohio. I was in Indiana with Liz Watson. I was in Nebraska with Kara, who's just doing an amazing job, 220,000 doors. I think she said her campaign has knocked on. Last night I was with Katie Porter, and they have an incredible campaign. And I think this is one of the things that's really inspired me is that these candidates are running as bold progressives in swing districts, in tough districts, districts that have not seen a Democrat sometimes in 10, 20 years. And they are, one of them in Kara Eastman's district, they call him her Republican flipper because he talks to Republicans and he gets them flipped and he gets them to vote for her or say they're going to vote for her. And I said, what are the things that are resonating? And he said, $15 minimum wage and Medicare for All. And to me, I think, as proud as I am to be a progressive, I'm an English major, we should reclaim the word centrist because the etymology of that is you serve the center of the country.
That's right.
These policies serve the center of the country. Why should centrist mean a policy that serves the top 5% or 1% or 10%? Centrist policies should be policies like $15 minimum wage, like college without debt, like Medicare for All, that serve the majority of the country. And I think that's what these candidates are running on. And they're talking about real economic issues. They're not afraid to talk about race. They're not afraid to actually be authentic and bold. And oh yeah, they're talking to people. They're going door to door and they're actually talking to folks at their doors, some of whom are saying, I've never seen anybody in so long. I didn't know anybody cared about me. So they're also reestablishing that link to government. It's been really, really exciting. And I'm very hopeful.
Isn't it amazing, guys, to have strong progressives in Congress? I mean, it feels foreign, but I mean, for 16 years on this show, I've been saying, no, all the polling is on our side. Almost every one of the progressive issues polls at 60% or better, all the way up to 84%. If that's not the center of the country, what is? If that's not centrist, what is?
Right.
Meanwhile, everybody on cable news and in the establishment lies to you and pretends that the giving tax cuts to the rich is centrist, starting wars is centrist, giving more defense spending to the defense contractors is centrist. None of those things are true. None of them are true. It's not in the polls. In the polls, the American people absolutely positively agree with us. Now to have those progressive fighters in Congress saying, now we're gonna make that a reality and actually pass the laws so you can actually get what you want. It's a whole new world.
It's been really great. We did a poll, the Progressive Caucus did, that I led in 30 swing districts because we kept hearing this. Oh, Pramila, you're too progressive. These things just work in Seattle. They don't work in swing districts. So I thought, okay, well, let's test it. So 30 swing districts, we had half and half that lean Democrat, lean Republican, plus or minus 5, I think it was. And the results were off the charts. Independents and what we call our surge voters, our progressive base that has tuned out to politics because they're not inspired. They don't think we're fighting for them anymore. We need to re-engage them. But we also do, in some cases, need to have these independents in these swing districts. And we found that they both responded incredibly well. And in some cases, the independents responded even better. I'll give you an example. We tested, it drives me crazy when people say you can't talk about race, okay? Race is there, you have to talk about it. Donald Trump is making it an issue. And so we tested an infrastructure message, a bold infrastructure investment of $2 trillion and then we tested that against, sorry, did I say, we tested that with the same message saying white, black, and brown. So something like a bold infrastructure package that creates opportunity for everybody, white, black, and brown. I can't remember the exact wording, but everything was same except for that phrase. Do you know that that one that had that phrase in it, just an acknowledgement of race in there, actually did better with independence than not talking about it? So I think we have to be authentic and real about what we're trying to do and say to people, you're all in this, we're all in this together. And we have to be bold. That was the other thing that came through very clearly in the polling. People don't want incremental change. They want bold change. Things are bad. 3 people in this country have the same wealth as the bottom 50% of Americans, and 2 of them live in my state. So, we have got to do something. 62% of Americans don't even have $1,000 in their savings account. That's just untenable. That means their house has a leak, their roof has a leak, they can't fix it. Their car breaks down, can't fix it. Kid gets sick, mom gets sick, don't have health care, can't deal with it. That's just not who we are. We can do so much better.
I'm so energized. Look, we don't know what's gonna happen yet. You have to go out there and vote. You have to volunteer, you have to do small dollar donations, you gotta do whatever you can. There's only 18 days left, okay? But if these progressives actually get into Congress, then look at all the stereotypes that you're gonna break down. So first of all, on the issue of race, notice that the 4 Just Democrats that I named that are definitely going to win, all women of color, okay? Right. You add Deb Haaland, that's 5, right. All women of color, right. Okay? So what happened? I thought hey, no, you gotta appeal to just white people. No, that's not true. None of those things have ever been true. Medicare for All polls at 70%. They call it radical in Washington. So is 70% of the country radical? 52% of Republicans are for Medicare for All. Are they I mean, so, well,
and a lot of other industrialized countries, by the way, who are not radical, who just have this as a basic given that you need to have certain things provided to you to really even the playing field for everybody.
Representative Pramila Jayapal, one of the true leaders of the Rebels. We appreciate you coming to Rebel headquarters.
Thank you, Cenk. It's great to be with you all.
Thanks for watching this free clip of Rebel Headquarters. Don't forget to become a TYT member today for more exclusive content. Join now at tyt.com/join.